Testing, testing.
Councilman Brennan, I have you loud and clear.
Great, sounds good. I'm gonna do a little check ahead of time. It's been working all week, so I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Not an issue.
What's this? No, you don't
Let's
use.
make video, start the video. Yeah, hit the video. Oh,
Councilman Brzezinski, I have your audio and I now have your video.
oh,
Excellent. Thank you.
am I looking good, Francis?
Now you're looking like you.
Good one.
Diplomatic.
Thank you, sir.
I will let all members on the call know we are streaming to YouTube now, so that's all I have to say.
Everybody's live. Ms. Shaw, you there?
Yes, thank you, President Ed.
Okay.
I am here.
You're running it, my dear.
I'm thanking for everyone on the call today. It's 5:24 according to my watch, and I am so pleased to see Chris Gerhart with us, and I see David and you, Mr. President, and Liz.
Jimmy was trying to get on. He didn't make it yet.
I don't see him yet.
Hmm. Did everybody get my email earlier about the getting a process for these study sessions in the future? There will be none until the 25th of February. We will have that one also because it's on a schedule, but we will not have any new ones until we get a process so we know what everybody's doing with them. Okay. I asked for feedback and I'm waiting to get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch up on my emails later, Ed. I haven't got a chance to get in there, but today's been a crazy day. But I saw it, but I didn't get a chance to respond.
Thank you, Dave. Okay.
I guess I was a little confused as to like what you wanted to set up. Because like I had set those days aside for study sessions.
Okay. If we have a need for a study session, I'm all for having them. But to have them, it's counterproductive. If we can get things done in caucus or if we have pressing needs, we always have those Tuesdays that we added, Tuesdays before the meetings. But like I said, I'm not too sure what we're doing with EMTA today.
I invited Jeremy and Chris to do a presentation for us because sometimes I can only say so much as a liaison, and I think you get a better feel for what's going on with the presentation. I think, you know, we had the Port Authority, and they had done a nice presentation, and that was a good learning experience for us. And John Persinger had talked to us about what's going on with the EDDC, and EMTA plays such a vital role for not only our Erie citizens, but for our Erie County citizens. So I wanted to address what they've been doing since COVID has really struck the community. And I also asked Andre Horton if he could come on, which he is going to try to after he has some meetings today, because he's the Erie County liaison. And it's so important that we continue to have EMTA for all of us. And, it's a hard time with COVID. It's a hard time financially. And I just wanted them to address those two issues. And I think we're going to learn from them today. Mel, I think, was supposed to be on too today. I don't know. Maybe he's having a hard time getting on.
Mel's here.
I
Oh,
finally got on, just got
That's
on.
good.
Thank you
Great.
for searching for me.
Great. So you said Jim wanted to be on as well today?
He was trying a couple minutes ago. I got him to 814 exclamation point study. Right? With a
It's okay, I'll change the password now, Ed.
I'm just telling you, I had trouble getting on too, Frank. 3 times, it took it the 3rd time. Change the password. Sorry.
So thank you very much, Jeremy, for your time, and Chris for your time today. You have always told me that you're transparent, that you would assist us. And I just really feel so happy that you could present with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm more than available whenever council needs me. It's nice seeing everybody again. And for the council members who don't know who I am, I'm Jeremy Peterson, the Chief Executive Officer of EMTA. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Can you update us as to what's been going on with the EMTA during the COVID crisis?
Well,
And-
just like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, just like, thanks, Kathy. Just like everyone else, obviously COVID has hit us hard, especially in the pocket in our ridership. Back in March, we were sort of on the defense, and now we're sort of on the offense, so to speak. So pre-COVID, we had an increase in ridership. It's the first time we had an increase in total ridership in about 17 years. So we knew that we were doing something right. I think we regionalized to a certain degree. We made sense of more of our routes that we had out there, and then everything was on track for year 2020 as well, until about mid-March when COVID hit, and we had to unfortunately lay off about 60 to 65 employees. We had to take other routes such as the Presque Isle Express and Mill Creek off. Our normal event shuttles that we helped the city out with, we had to cancel those. Not only because of we couldn't afford to put free service out there, but obviously these events weren't taking place. So some of the positives that have come out of COVID so far is we didn't take this crisis. We took this crisis as our advantage too. So obviously we received some CARES Act money in the sum of about $10 million. And with that money, we were able to develop a 3rd shift utility / cleaning crew for all buses. As all buses, Lyft, paratransit, and big bus fixed route buses come offline, that crew is responsible for disinfecting all the buses, cleaning all of them, more than what we've done in the past. So it's given us the ability to do that. It's given us the ability to right size our system. We have noticed we had buses going in areas of the city and county that didn't make sense. Maybe it did 20 years ago, but the leadership here decided, I'll just keep it out there, don't take it away. We don't want to hear it from everybody. So it gave us the ability to right size our system. Right now we're closed on Sundays. I would venture to think that we would stay closed on Sundays for a little while, given the fact that our ridership was only around 500 in 12 hours, within 12 hours of service hours. So to us, that was a lot of waste of taxpayer money for us putting that out there. It's given us our Lyft paratransit division the ability to maintain continuity of service throughout the pandemic as well. So it's very important to know wherever there's a bus route, whether it be in the city or the county of Erie, paratransit bus or Lyft bus has to be in place within 3/4 of a mile of that bus route. So that helps our senior demographic. Obviously, in Erie County, we have a very high senior demographic. I think we all on city council and everybody on this call knows somebody that benefits from that service, and that service basically saves lives. You know, we've been taking folks to their dialysis treatments, so on and so forth. So another part here that a piece that I want to touch on is we have been very, very proactive throughout, and even before this pandemic occurred. We've been very transparent, as Kathy had mentioned. When this administration took over, we were a very behind the curtain type of company. We didn't want people coming in here knowing about what we were doing. We didn't reach out to our local politicians, council members, so on and so forth. It was the wrong way of doing business. And since this administration took over and this pandemic, we've been coined as the model agency and trendsetter for Pennsylvania. And for us, that we definitely tap ourselves on the back on that, given the fact that, the transit company in Pittsburgh, the Port Authority, and Philadelphia, SEPTA, we've actually been coined the model agency for as proactive as we've been for bus cleanliness inside their buildings and proactiveness as far as safety is concerned amongst our employees and our customers alike. So we're very happy to say that. Along those lines too, we're the only bus company. We're the 4th largest transit agency in Pennsylvania, and obviously the largest in Northwest Pennsylvania. Our bus system, unlike the big dogs in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, we never shut down in the winter. We get a couple inches of snow, we're still running. We're still running. We have a couple feet of snow. So we've been very. We care about the service that we provide in Erie. I don't think we're nearly where we need to be just yet, but this administration has dedicated itself to improve its public service by means of appearance, whether it be, like I said, dissolving or disinfecting buses, right sizing our system, but being a very positive public service in Erie, PA. And it's with the help of City Council that has helped us to do that and will help us to achieve that goal. So those are a few pros that COVID has given us the ability to do and overcome. And we, like I said, being labeled one of the most proactive agencies in Pennsylvania is truly an accomplishment.
Jeremy, I think, earlier or just a few minutes ago, somebody asked why we were having this session. So I think our concern is, that the city is going to be picking up the tab for the shortfall in your budget. If you looked at the spreadsheet, you saw that basically we were providing anywhere from, I think, 30 to 36% of the budget. And that percentage is going up because of the way the articles of agreement are written. So, we do want to be supportive of EMTA, but we also need to know maybe not so much what you're doing on your end, but if you'll remember a few years ago, there was a proposal to have the county pick this up. We know that Mill Creek has, I believe, cut its share. So how do we, going forward, make this equitable in terms of funding? I think it's interesting if you just saw what Mill Creek School Board's doing. They're fighting about not wanting to kick in for the Erie County VOTEC repairs. And that's the school board, not the supervisors. But we had a real opportunity for a while to think regionally. And now I wonder if COVID is making municipalities retreat back to their, only thinking about their own boundaries instead of the greater good. And when I was a big bus rider. I have not gone back to the bus because of COVID. I just I'm not going anywhere that I need to take the bus, but I used to try and take the bus to the city council meetings or just to downtown. But when I was a bus rider, Jeremy, I think you remember you invited us to speak to the township supervisors. And there seems to be a non-recognition on their part that, if people from the city of Erie are riding the bus, they are going to jobs or they're going to shop, or they were going pre-COVID to the movies in Mill Creek and Summit. And, that people from Erie are helping their tax base by getting to those jobs. So it's kind of a big question to put into your lap, but tell us about how long this financial burden might be, more of a burden on the city of Erie, and looking longer term, how do we get back to thinking regionally? I think there's also an opportunity. We're looking at what's going to happen in the federal government in terms of, climate change. I would suspect that with the new Secretary of Transportation that we're going to be thinking about ways to, use mass transit. So kind of a lot of questions for you, but the immediate one is about the finances, and then longer term about regional outlook.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. And I do remember that session that we had in caucus. And I remember bringing up to you early on when I was at an interim level about the senior passes. And it was informational sessions as that educated folks, especially you, Liz, on council, that said, oh, Cal, if I get a senior pass, I can ride a bus anywhere in Pennsylvania, not just Erie. You know what I mean? So I always remember that. And I know you're a bus rider, and we want to get you back as soon as possible. So to answer a couple of your questions, and if I get off track, because I know it's sort of a long-winded question or series of questions, but as far as the local match is concerned, we do obviously know that there's issues with deficits, so on and so forth. And over the last 2 years, first of all, PennDOT requires us to increase our local match by 5% each year. Okay, and because of administrations past and boards of EMTA past, I can't what they've done with all these sources of local match contributors, it's not the mirrored image that we should have it. So we're about 4.5 years before the charter expires. I do believe that we have the mayor of the city of Erie and a county executive of the county of Erie that have a really good working relationship with one another. And I think it's with the efforts of EMTA and being as transparent as they are with those two entities that shows, hey, look, let's extend this charter, okay? And let's come up with creative ways to help with the local match and the deficits that we are faced with on a yearly basis. So like I said, without going into a lot of detail about the charter, I would leave that up to my executive board to sort of answer. I do believe that there are. I got to let you know. I'm gonna tell everybody right now. I assure council that I'm doing everything that I can on a state level to come up with a creative way, especially for this pandemic year. If there are any deficits, how are we going to do that? We can't sit there and rely upon the city and the county to come up with their deficits when they have their own financial burdens that they're responsible for too. I mean, everybody, we're all in this together as far as the pandemic's concerned. We've also looked at in Harrisburg with the other CEOs and executive directors in transit around the state, with help of our transit, our board solicitor, Jill Nagy, and are looking into sole source funding for transit, just like the states of New Jersey and Ohio. And that would offset local match. So that's one creative way that we're trying to champion in Harrisburg to help our folks out here and our governments locally here too. Now, I will tell you, it is the way other transit companies normally work is in their local matches. Let's say if they have a similar charter, they have a city and a county that are duly sponsored into the charter. What they do is they go out and they go out to municipalities, and they're basically the bulldog that says, hey, you owe us this amount of money from the boroughs and municipalities and townships. And then the city and the county both strike a check to the transit authority, and there is no deficit. So that's another way that we're looking at fashioning a way to sort of curb the deficit on year to year. And it's always up, once again, it's all of us. It's county council, city council, EMTA. It's all of us together to champion our efforts into helping the local match and downstate. So what I would ask, and like I have done, is maybe ask of council to help write letters to our local legislators can champion down in Harrisburg for us in regards to how much of a burden the local match to transit in Erie is, because I don't think that we are the only ones in Pennsylvania that are having the same issue. So I would assume, I'm not going to state for sure or certain, that PennDOT's going to come up with a way to sort of offset that this year. But I can't speak on that. Can't promise that's going to happen. All I can tell you is the champion efforts that we have had with folks around the state to Harrisburg, other transit agencies and leaders. But yeah, going back to, I mean, it was a blow to us with what Mill Creek Township did. I can tell you that I've tried to still maintain a good relationship with Mill Creek Township. I met a few months ago with Jim Bach and Supervisor Dan Ouellette. Took them for a tour around EMTA. Explained to them exactly how important transit plays a part into Mill Creek Township. Drives or an economy driver for them. We've also known that Mill Creek Township itself is facing its own issues with 9% of its population in poverty. So we do know that there's transit riders in Mill Creek, and we do know that there's folks from the city of Erie as a big driver going into Mill Creek Township and working. We're part of their Embrace Mill Creek Comprehensive Plan. Section 4 of their comprehensive plan calls for EMTA and how vital of a role it plays for the economy of Mill Creek Township. So we're even in their own comprehensive plan that they paid for. So with them reducing their local match contribution by 90%, and sitting, when we were asking them for $20,000, and that's what they've been giving us for a number of years, and they cut that to 90% to nearly $2,400, and they sit on a $6 million surplus last year. That's sort of a slap in the face, but there's nothing we can do about that other than rebuild the relationship with them and see what we can do about moving forward.
That was a great explanation. I thought of one other thing. This is, for a while, I think I was there when, we've had ribbon cuttings for the various phases of your, your new facilities. And isn't there going to be, is there charging stations there too for electric vehicles?
Not just yet, not just electric,
Okay.
Liz. There is compressed natural gas, a public refueling station here.
Okay.
And we do have that, and that's up and running. Our construction as it is now is complete.
Okay.
We would like to have a ribbon cutting, and we don't want to make this just any normal ribbon cutting. We want to join all of the neighborhood, our neighbors here at Level Place and all the tenants, Matthew Good in Hands with all the parcels of land that he's purchased and structured along the footprint of EMTA and 14th Street. We want to bring all of our neighbors here and make it more of a celebration with what we've done and what we've helped with the economic development mid-city downtown. I remember, when I used to work in law enforcement, and I remember 14th Street was a street you didn't want to walk down 10, 15 years ago. Now it's lit up. It's very welcoming. and I believe it's one of the safest neighborhoods in town. And I think Mr. Brennan can attest to, Level Place and what the Griffiths have done with that building and the businesses it has attracted over the last several years. So we have some good neighbors. We want to do a ribbon cutting. We want to share what we've done here at EMTA. We're not just a transit agency anymore. We're part of economic development, and we want to become a paramount public service as far as transit is concerned in Pennsylvania. We've modernized our buses, the new buses that we just received. We just received funding for the largest bus purchase in EMTA history this year. So we'll have 17 new CNG compressed natural gas buses here that have USB capabilities of charging phones, so on and so forth. And within the next year or two, Wi-Fi capabilities on those buses. And they're clean air buses too. We're looking and exploring a low grant, low emissions, no emissions grant that maybe secure funding for a couple electric buses as well. That will give us the ability. Obviously, we'll have to have the electric charging stations at that point, Liz. And then what we can do is maybe even make it public as well. And then the other thing we would like to do is, maybe get into the bike share program here locally. And I think that's part of modernizing transit. If you look around the country, that's what some of the transit agencies are going to now. And, we've had a good relationship with PennDOT and the Federal Transit Administration, and just the funding they give us for rolling stock assets and those purchases over the last couple of years has been tremendous. We have a whole new fare collection system. Our fare boxes were a little over 30 years old with a life expectancy of only 10. So there were 20 years over the life expectancy. We have all new fare boxes thanks to PennDOT, the sum of $3 billion grant. And also a new radio system. We're running a shoddy analog radio system. And as we regionalized to Corey and even Presque Isle, there was areas there where there was no radio service for the drivers. So that was a big safety concern for us. So what we've done is with the help of PennDOT and the sum of about $1 million, is upgraded our radio system. We're digital. We're on 4 with the help of County Executive Bill Kemper and John Grappy from the 911 Center. We're now going to get on the county towers, and that will even better our radio frequency throughout Erie County. So that's just a snapshot of what we've done over the last only 2 years under this administration at EMTA. So we're proud of that too.
Would it be okay for me to ask some follow-up questions, Council? Is everybody okay with that? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I think it might help to get some insight. I'm wondering, do you have data on ridership? Are you able to track, for instance, how many people are either getting on the bus in Mill Creek or getting off the bus in Mill Creek? Do you have anything like that?
So Renee, no, we don't. Our fare boxes don't track exactly where people get on and where they alight the bus. What we do is we count the number of ridership along the routes that service Mill Creek, and it gives us a rough idea of how many people we are transporting to Mill Creek. Right now, the amount of service that we provide Mill Creek Township is, as of last year, was a little over $1 million worth of service. And for a $20,000 contribution, that's a penny in the bucket right there. So, and once again, let's not fail to mention here that it costs me for a big bus fixed route operationally an hour to run is right around $140 an hour. So if you add the amount of hours that we service Mill Creek, like I said, the $20,000 contribution is a drop in the bucket, especially when you're on a $6 million surplus at the end of the year.
So when you say you're servicing Mill Creek, though, could there be people on those buses that aren't? There could be people on those buses that aren't going to Mill Creek or coming from Mill Creek?
That's true. That's true. If you look at our Route 3, our most heavily populated bus. It runs through the city of Erie, picks up a lot of people at 7th and 10th and French, and then 12th and State, 14th and State, 18th and State, works its way up to Peach Street and services the Mill Creek Mall. That's a big Mill Creek line, and then goes ahead and services Summit Township. So, we do know that a large majority of our ridership flows through Mill Creek one way or another, whether they're getting on in Mill Creek, just outside of Mill Creek. But once again, the city is a big driver of who's going to Mill Creek. We do know that.
Yeah. How many municipalities do you guys service now?
We service almost all of them at this point.
Okay. And do they contribute?
So what we've done, Renee, is our efforts here at EMTA is we've actually gone out and introduced ourselves to some of the municipalities and boroughs and townships that we do service in one way or another, but they normally don't contribute or historically haven't contributed. So we have a meeting with Albion. We've had a meeting with Girard Borough. They are now a contributing member. Lake City is now a contributing member. Corey has substantially raised their local match each year since 2016. Our ridership continues to grow for the city of Corey. We also have with the University Northeast, Mercyhurst Northeast shutting down, they were a contributor. And obviously that school is no longer there. So we're reaching out just this week to Mr. Neff. We're speaking with the Northeast Township and Borough itself. So we're reaching out to these borough, like I said, municipalities that normally don't contribute or historically haven't contributed, but we do have service level to some degree. Union City on our bus, on the bus that travels to Corey. Well, there's a lot of places it goes through on its way through Corey, and Union City has even offered to they want a transit line out there. So obviously Union City doesn't have the money that Mill Creek Township has, but we can make something affordable to them versus the amount of service that we would provide them.
Jeremy,
Okay.
if I can ask a question, I think what some of these questions are getting at is that if we had the data to back up, showing the ridership, that we'd be able to help have the support to support the EMTA. So I guess that's my thought, is that if there's some way that we can gauge the ridership, gauge the usage, then we could find a fair system of how to contribute. And as that changes over the years, because of course things change, population changes, then we'd be able to properly adjust that. I know you're always kind of running in a deficit, because it's a service. But I'm just wondering, is there any way to do that so that when a certain township, maybe they're going to increase ridership, and that's wonderful, but it is expensive to do that, as you know. So is there any thought to that? Because I know I've been asked that question. And again, I was back on council when we discussed the county, and I was supporting the county taking over, because it could have saved Erie, because really Erie is the county. So we're all together.
Well, once again, and you're right, we are all together, Mr. Brennan. But once again, with the city's contribution, EMTA does provide a lot of free service throughout the year too. Yeah. And that's part of the partnership that we've always had. One of the things that I touched on earlier, and that I think may help the local match, is the efforts that not only myself, but all the other CEOs around the state, with help of our solicitor and a couple other consultants, is to get with Harrisburg and sending letters to them, as well as all of the legislators around the state, is to come up with some type of sole source funding for Pennsylvania as far as transit is concerned. If we follow or mirror what, like I said, the state of New Jersey and Ohio do, that gives us the opportunity to eliminate the local match contribution altogether. So we're looking at ways, I can assure you. Obviously, we don't want to tell people, hey, you owe more than what we budgeted for. I mean, trust me when I tell you, I don't like doing that. But I think there's other creative ways that we can make our local match work out to the benefit and get the biggest bang for everyone's buck. We don't want to lose the city as a sponsor to the charter in any way. we think it would behoove the city to continue to support EMTA.
Is there another model that we can look towards? Because I'm always looking for best practices. What other municipalities are doing? Because of course, transportation is a challenge everywhere throughout Pennsylvania. Any thoughts on that?
Well, you always see, the demographic in Pennsylvania is, you know what I mean? It's more senior than in other states. We also know trends such as, millennials are now using transit. It's more of a new trend now for our younger generation taking public transit rather than buying cars. Everybody's on this clean air kick now, and it needs to be that way too. We feel that that's very important. So we see the potential for an increase in ridership. Obviously, we know what we were doing in 2019 was working. It didn't mean it was the end all save all. Keep doing what we're doing, but we're modernizing transit as best we can. We're restructuring or right sizing our system, and using the taxpayer dollars as best we can. So we're looking at feedback. We're sending out surveys to our riders. I'm out at bus shelters, every 3 months, every quarter, at bus shelters throughout not only the county but the city of Erie too, asking the riders, what they like about public transit in Erie, and what they don't like, and I've done that on conjoined efforts with the county and the city. So, but I do think there's other models that we're trying to look at creatively to sort of offset any.
Jeremy, I have a question. Governor Wolf has a lot of back noise there. I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, if you can hear me, he's talking about charging townships for state police coverage, like in Harbor Creek. What we offer as EMTA is a service too. So, I mean, maybe it's the way it's going to go. If we push more legislatively, like you had mentioned, that might be the ticket for us.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with transit. I think we're gonna see some very interesting, especially with the Biden administration and Pete Buttigieg as the Secretary of Transportation now. They're big proponents of transit. So from what we understand too, we're going to be getting a windfall of money as far as Pennsylvania cash for transit agencies too. So if the language is in there that helps us offset local match deficiencies, we just need to push for that language currently now in those monies that they would give us. So right now, if I use any CARES Act money that I received from the feds, which I've received a one-time payment back in April, that can't be used to offset any operational. It's only capital. So, or I'm sorry, the other way around, operational, not capital. But it can't offset any state local match requirement because it's federal money. And I get that and I understand that. Now I think everybody has gone back to the table to rethink that idea and say, hey, if we give transit agencies, another windfall of cash, whether it be stimulus, whether it be CARES Act, whatever you call it, we need to put some language in there that allows for these transit agencies to offset their local match with the monies we give them. And that's what should be, that's a language that should be in there. I mean, let's face it. I said it before, we're all in this together, the city, the county, and EMTA. And we need to, do what we have to do to keep transit alive in Erie, keep 2 sponsors on the charter. And trust me when I tell you, as a CEO of EMTA, I'm going to do everything I can to alleviate any deficiencies as far as local match is concerned. I spend a lot of my time reaching out to other municipalities and townships that normally that don't contribute, okay, and that also do contribute to try to get increases. But right now, pandemic, I understand it's trying to get, it's like trying to get blood from a rock. I get it. But like I said, I can assure you that my team here is doing everything they can to sort of offset this.
Jeremy, have you made any decision about service to Presque Isle this summer? And if so, is there ever a chance that there could also be like an East Side link? We talked, this is kind of going back to Bayfront Parkway discussion and, all those plans even up until the early 70s about maybe having a bridge Presque Isle, having access, but maybe you haven't decided yet because you're waiting to see what happens with, the pandemic, obviously. But if you do offer it, again, this is another thing that I was able to take advantage of. And that wasn't because of the senior pass, it was just because it was free. But if there's a way to think about that east side access to a natural resource, it would be great. Anyhow, just my suggestion.
Yeah, unlike a lot of other, executive directors or CEOs, I try not to look at social media as much. What I did when we had the Presque Isle Express run 2 years ago, there was a lady that expressed some concerns about the east side and not having enough access to that Presque Isle service. Well, I think it was explained very poorly early on. And I don't know if that was our downfall or what, but there was always access for people on the east side to get to West Erie Plaza. You would just have to use those east side routes to connect. Okay. But once again, I want to make it as easy as possible for folks on the east side too, to get to Presque Isle. So I actually reached out. She had a lot of interesting verbiage that she used against the EMTA. And I actually reached out to her and I invited her to EMTA and I talked to her. And after we got done talking, she was very, very happy. She went back on the social media post and said, actually, I met with the CEO EMTA and we had a very good discussion. He's very open to, changing the route, giving us Eastsiders more access to Presque Isle. So Liz, to answer your question, very a short answer right now would be yes. If we come up with another Presque Isle Express, what I would like to do is get something from the east side and connect it to the west side, but still call it a Presque Isle Express. What we've done is the first year we piloted that project, we had one bus that would go from West Erie Plaza to Tom Ridge Environmental Center, all the way down to Beach 11 and back. That took over an hour. Holy cow. Who's going to wait an hour in 90-degree weather to get to, it was bad. So the following year, Matt Green and myself come up with a better solution. And since then, we've been sort of modifying the route where we would have two buses. One bus I would circulate from Beach 11 to Waterworks, and another bus that would go from West Erie Plaza to Tom Ridge to Waterworks. So maybe this is the opportunity for maybe even three buses. But once again, it cut down the trip time on that route too, and made the routes a little more frequent. So yeah, that's not out of the water. Even with Mill Creek Township, we EMTA here wanted to take the Morrow High Road on this, and like I said, we're about our passengers and our public service that we create. So that's still an opportunity, and that's still a service that I would still like to provide in the future.
Jeremy, with Mill Creek, it's kind of important to remember there's three people that sit there and make those decisions, but maybe we didn't do a good enough job of letting the Mill Creek people know it, because the Mill Creek people will tell those three what they think they need. And I really think that we give Mill Creek great service with the EMTA. I really do.
I echo that comment, Ed.
I don't think the
110%.
majority of people out there know it, Jared. I don't think they know it.
Well, what we did was Voices for Independence moved their HQ out to Mill Creek because it was on a transit line. And let me remind you, when there's a transit line, this is why we didn't reduce a ton of service to Mill Creek, because once there's a transit line and a route, I have to provide what they call complimentary paratransit service. That lift bus has to circulate within 3/4 of a mile of any big bus fixed route. So if I take out a fixed route, that lift service goes away. That could be life ending for somebody. Okay, and that's the point I was trying to get across to Mill Creek Township. This is more than big buses in Mill Creek. Yeah, do they drive your economy? Yeah, you're absolutely right. But once again, people's lives in Mill Creek depend on that service. So if you want to, so in any event, Voices for Independence got a hold of that. We had discussions with them, and they were in full force at these Mill Creek meetings. And I got to tell you, for seeing those folks and the way they have to live, that is very unfortunate. And I feel very good on the service that we provide, okay, because we keep them going. for what Mill Creek Township did, and I'm not going to bash anybody, but it was a bad move. And we, like I said, we took the moral high road on that because we didn't want to end that service for those folks. So yes, Ed, I do believe, and I had members from the city council and county council join those meetings. And once again, it was you have the majority of the supervision out there that voted not in favor of contributing what they've normally contributed in the past. Hopefully with new blood in there, like you said, I have met with Mr. Olette and Supervisor Bach. We do a lot of free stuff for them too. I mean, all their volunteer fire services, we give them free training on compressed natural gas and how to take care of that, and the makeup of our buses too. So if there's ever an accident in Mill Creek, they know how to they know how to combat.
Beautiful, yes.
And that's why we want to continue with Erie too. There's a lot of events and there's a lot of shuttle service that we provide to the city of Erie for free of charge, for the betterment of the civic interest of the community, but the public interest as well.
Yeah, Michael Keys here. Not to
Michael.
keep talking about our neighbor to the west there, but some of our constituents, have actually talked about, not having service inside the West Erie Plaza any longer. And the fact that, along the street there's no sidewalk, and that it's really difficult for the people who may work or live and need to get on the bus there on that part of Pittsburgh Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any resolutions or solutions or deals in work? It would seem to me like there would be some kind of
EMTA.
public interest that would override the interest of that plaza, that would allow your buses to still go through that plaza.
So I talked to a gentleman by the name of Chris Conrad. Chris Conrad was the main architect of this whole West Erie Plaza transition or transformation, I should say. We had some very good ideas, which they shot down, unfortunately. The mention of our people, quote unquote, was mentioned. They didn't want our people on their property because of safety concerns, which is, my review to that was, well, our people have been servicing the West Erie Plaza for the last 42 years. And now all of a sudden it's a safety issue. Just tell us if you want to gentrify your area and move our people out, let me know, but go public with it. Tell the community what it is you just told me. Tell them that. That West Erie Plaza played a vital part and was a huge transfer point for a lot of people, and a lot of people coming from the city of Erie, and a lot of people coming to the city of Erie. So what we've done was it was private property. There was nothing we could do. We tried everything. They shot us down. What we're going to continue to do is I'm still making effort in talking with them and coming up with a sensible solution to that, other than just circling that park or that plaza, I should say. Now there was a cutoff that was along the south side of A Street where our shelter was. So instead of dropping people off and picking people up in the plaza, which was the best idea and the ideal situation, we can only drop people off heading back into town, heading back east to the city on A Street. And then folks that want to get off at the plaza have to further travel up Pittsburgh Avenue and let them off there. It's the safest way to do it. And then it goes up to 12th Street and over 12th and services the other plazas, Yorktown and such. So we're also looking at, I asked Jim Bach, Supervisor Bach and Olette when they were here. I know we have that multimodal project, the trail that's going into Presque Isle. EMTA, once again, the architects and engineers of the Presque Isle Trail had requested an EMTA presence there because for bus shelters along the trail, so on and so forth. And it struck me as funny is because we're only worth $2,500 to Mill Creek. However, they want us to come out there and help beautify and help get people to their park. the architects sort of laughed and the engineers were sort of laughing about that. And, you know, I thought it was sort of like a setup when I went out there. I didn't know if they were going to beat me up or what it was, but no, they actually want us out in Mill Creek. So in that meeting, we were talking about other projects in Mill Creek Township, and West 8th Street was also considered, it was in consideration of a project for cityscape, and then also, or streetscape, I'm sorry, but sidewalk, new sidewalk and bus pull-off areas along 8th Street too, which would make it safer and more accompanying for folks using transit along the corridor at 8th Street there.
Jeremy? Oh, sorry, Renee, go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. You go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to follow up on two things real quick. One, Councilman Brennan was talking about something that he brought up, and I just keep thinking, I think it would be really helpful to understand which municipalities are contributing and how much, and then you probably don't have all that handy, but maybe you can send it to us.
Sure.
And then in terms of the ridership, I just think if we could get a better handle on how many people are actually, and I don't know how you do that, but how many people are actually using it who either are going to Mill Creek or coming from Mill Creek, because that way we could make a data-driven recommendation on what a contribution should be,
Okay.
as opposed to looking at aggregate numbers that may not be relevant. So that's one thing. And then the other thing was you were talking about the state representatives and the language in the CARES Act funding. And I wanted you to know that the administration has reached out to both PennDOT and to our state reps. And it appears to me that they are open to having that language changed. We've given them the language that we're interested in that being changed to. And you know, the challenge is, of course, that would go in June if they're able to get it passed. So we have, you know, until then to wait. But that is, we have been advocating for that, so that I wanted you to be aware of that.
Well, I really appreciate that, Renee, and I know you and the mayor have done a tremendous job in helping us and being as transparent as we try to be too, from a government agency or standpoint. We've been, you know, we can't be more happy with the way the city's being led by council and the mayor itself. So we thank you for that. And then, yes, I do believe I can get some information together for you to answer your other question, Renee. And I think maybe we could sit down, maybe caucus or something like that, and quickly go over ridership and how it pertains to Mill Creek.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. Thank you.
And cost. Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem, Renee, anytime.
Jeremy, could you mention about the good works that you do for the people who have a need of work, and you're giving transport to the Lake City, Fairview, Girard area for people to get to their jobs?
Yeah, so we help out some, basically get people to work. There's East County and a West County bus line that runs all the way out through Mill Creek, Lake City, Girard, on all the businesses in the industrial parks, Fairview, on a daily basis. Obviously, they're labor ready type programs that we get those folks. And then to the west and to the East County, as far as Harbor Creek, Port Erie Plastics, so to speak, and a few other agencies on the east side. So those are highly populated routes as well. But once again, if you ever see a bus that says East County or West County on it, it's just not for folks going to work. All of our buses are open to the public, even our school tripper buses. You know, if you see a school a bus carrying school students, it's called the deviated fixed route. It's open to the public as well too. So, yeah, we are we're happy, more than happy, to provide transportation for folks to get to work, both East County and West County.
Yeah, Michael Keys here. To go back to what Ms. Lamus was saying, maybe an easy way to try and get these numbers is to, getting bus counts when you hit Pittsburgh Avenue, even on those routes, you know, that are dedicated going further west, you know, if you start counting the people on the bus back and forth at Pittsburgh Avenue, it would give you a pretty good figure on who's going across the city line.
You know, Michael, that's a good point. And I may have failed to mention too, but some of the pros of COVID has given us the ability, like I told you, the new fare collection system, which is our fare boxes. There is a feature on those fare boxes that we're exploring right now that gives the option to go cashless. Okay, so your cell phone, everybody has cell phones now, right? So it gives the ability to purchase a bus pass on your cell phone and not touch the fare box or touch money, this and that. But it also gives you there's a feature on there and the ability to track better where people are boarding and alighting the bus as well. So when we upgrade those technologies, it's going to be a lot easier for us to give you that information when folks are asking, hey, what's my ridership as it pertains to my jurisdiction? Okay. So like I said, we've done our part too, even with the sheriff's department locally, is any lost and found smartphones or whatever that go unclaimed for quite a while, we turn those phones in and we donate those phones to either the sheriff's department, the city mission, and other agencies around town, where folks that visit those areas may not have the means to purchase a smartphone. So we try to do our part too to curb that issue. So stay tuned to some of the upgrades and technologies going forward at EMTA to help better, as Renee had said, and you, Michael, as well, you know, trying to better target where these people are getting on and off.
Hello, Jeremy. Jim Winarski here.
Hi, Jim.
Hi. Sorry I was a little late. The little technical difficulties. That's my story. But
don't catch yourself on fire there.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. That feels good though. Few questions for you. Like you said, the service you give Mill Creek for their contribution is around $1 million. What would you call what a dollar amount would that equal for what the city does? You give the city for what we contribute.
Well, so I'll let you do the math here, and Jim, we get a match from a state level of $10 to every dollar we bring in on a contribution. So the multiplier is 10, and then there's also a multiplier from the federal government as well too on that. So if you look at, you know, if you look at Mill Creek Township and it was $20,000, you know, once again, you multiply that $10 for each dollar we get there, that's quite a bit of amount of money to help service in that area. Now, when they struck that, obviously they struck that contribution by nearly 90% to 2,400. That was a heck of a cut, you know. So
you're adding in what the match,
the multiplier, correct? So, you know, it is an important. It's not just $20,000. It's $20,000 to them, but it could equal millions of dollars for us, you know, with everyone's contribution. So, you know, with $200,000 going towards Mill Creek, and then also the federal multiplier, that comes out to be quite a good amount of money to help offset the cost for the service that we provide. As Dave Brennan said, you know, we're a service that we're providing. We don't make money off of fares. You know, we don't make money like the water authority does off of bills that we send out to folks. You know, we're not the parking authority where we make money off tickets. You know, this is a heavily subsidized agency, and it's with the conjoined effort.
Is it almost like a neutral type?
Like a quasi-government nonprofit, so to speak, yeah. But it's
okay. I mean, and I know in the past, which last year was what it was, but you were always there, whether it was the different events in the city, whether it be the 8 Great Tuesdays or the different festivals we had, as well as I believe, you have that trolley service on State Street too, or
yes.
also yet?
Yes.
So I guess, and although you didn't give me that official dollar amount, whether it's $5 million of service you give us for $600,000 worth of payment, people got to realize there's a lot of extras that go through to the whole community, not just your regular bus riders per se.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a very accurate statement, Jim. We, like I said, we're a public service, and especially within the city of Erie, we want to be part of not only the events that take place here, but we want to act within the best civic interest of the community as well. And those events fit just that footprint too. I mean, we want to make sure that, you know, our service is paramount, and not just to get people from A to B, but also do the other things, you know, A to C too. A, B to C. You know, we want to be that connection. We want to be that mode of transportation that gets people to, you know, a fun event downtown. And we want to be that mode of transportation that gets people to work in the city of Erie as well, to help drive that economy. So the contribution they give the EMTA, we sort of bring back to you as it pertains to passengers and riders, because they're working in the city and they're driving the economy as best they can for those businesses as well.
And I'll be honest with you, Jeremy, a big chunk of our budget this year was the allocation for EMTA that has actually doubled over the last year or two. And you foresee that staying at that, and you may have already addressed this earlier, but you foresee it staying at that amount, or are we going to drop back to where we were? Or I know it's a municipality's obligation, being the city of Erie and the county, but can that be offset here as this is only like a COVID type instance?
So right now, Jim, what we're looking at is a COVID-like instance right now. What can we do in the talks that I'm having with the state? And as Renee said, I think the mayor and the mayor and his staff have been reaching out to local legislators too, with their message as well, saying, hey, look, we need some, so on and so forth, getting language in there, getting some money to help offset any deficiency as far as money is concerned. What I've been doing with and as I stated earlier, with all the other executive directors and CEOs around the state, is lobbying and championing for efforts to have Pennsylvania become a sole source transit funding state. So if we're able to do that, and we're successful in doing that, the local match contribution goes away, and it's funneled in through the state, the funding for transit as it is in Erie, Pennsylvania. There's other creative ways too. As you know, we have about 4.5 years left on the charter. The mayor of Erie and the county executive is probably since I've been in this position have had the probably best relationship between a county executive and a mayor. So they've been very transparent, as city council has, and there's maybe some language that we can incorporate into the articles of amendment, i.e. charter, that sort of take a deficit away and maybe come up with a cleaner way of doing things, other than reaching out to all of these EMTA, reaching out to all of these sources and all these contributors. Because I got to tell you, trying to get local match for me is a burden itself. 65% of my time is spent on local match, and you don't want me doing that. You want me running this authority. That's why my board put me in this position. Okay, so our efforts are, one of our top efforts right now is this local match, and as it states right now, obviously getting some type of COVID relief for local match. So that is our position. That's the direction that we're trying to go. So I don't want to say, hey, just go sell off EMTA just yet. Give me and my administration a chance to prove that we can do this. I mean, and like I said, it's all of us. It's not just EMTA. It's all of us. It's city, county council, EMTA, allowing for efforts down within Harrisburg.
And I can agree with you, really, and over the last couple of years, we've seen a good continuity there where things are going pretty well. You're handling the job great. We had this hiccup with the COVID, and that's why part of our reason we're here today. Just wondering, as a council, are we into increases year after year after year, and what impact it will have on our budgets yearly? Did you officially open the parking garage yet, or?
So it's open right now. Currently, there's a couple more things that we need to work on as far as, we set what we want, a monthly rate, daily rate, so on and so forth. We actually are working, and we're in talks with a couple different agencies within the immediate area that have presented interest in parking. Our employees are parking in there right now. We just, with the help of PennDOT and our efforts and talks with PennDOT, receive the right equipment to the PennDOT is equipped us with the equipment to keep the parking ramp up and running in a very good, presentable condition. And we feel that we'll be able to operate that just fine. So
You're going to run that yourself, though. That's through.
Absolutely. It's become a sort of what transit's been doing. We keep talking about the modernization of transit. One of the other things that transit's doing is actually overtaking parking authorities within their areas as a cost savings to either the city or the county that they reside in. So we feel that with our parking ramp, we're able to manage that just fine. And like I said, not only in the state of Pennsylvania, our transit companies taking over parking authorities, not taking over parking authorities, but managing them to a certain degree, but it's happening across the country too. And it gives other agencies the ability to create bike share and put bike share hubs at those different parking ramps as well. So go ahead. Did somebody ask me a question? I thought somebody asked a question. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, that's, our parking ramp here on 14th Street, we're going to treat it as a park and ride too. I've already talked to the Erie Otters, the Erie Seawolves, and a few other businesses downtown. I think we're going to I got a bite on the TOD, the Transit-Oriented Development Space, the retail space at the bottom floor, located on the bottom floor of the parking ramp. It may become an entertainment district. So we're very excited to open that retail space up and running that ramp as a park and ride.
At one time, they talked about having a grocery store in that area or in that parking garage. Is that still part of the conversation, or?
That's definitely still part of the conversation. However, since we were considered a food desert 15 years when this whole project was an idea. Okay. And then they built the apartments there by Nickel Plate Mills. There was a grocery store idea that was a food desert area as well. But then the apartments went in there. When 15 years ago, when this project was an idea, we were also considered a food desert as well. So the ideology behind getting the funding for that parking ramp was putting a retail space on the bottom floor and having a grocery sorts there along a transit line, so people can go and get their their groceries, their meats, so on and so forth. And it wasn't a processed food joint either. We're not talking about a Dollar General or something like that. This was to be more like a Whole Foods, something more healthier for those folks, and it gives them, once again, a vehicle to get to that point. But since then, obviously, we've had our project constructed, EDDC doing what they're doing downtown, and also with the GAF site project too, and what Erie Events is looking at doing. So I think traffic counts are going to play a part in that, and we'll see. I mean, we have a roughly 18,000 square feet of retail space, and pre-COVID, we had a butcher / grocer that had a vested interest in going there. a food truck business, a restaurant, and a brewery that wanted to go there, which we were green lighted by the FTA to have. They thought there was enough incidental usage there for transit to service businesses like that. And then unfortunately COVID hit, and these folks had just enough capital to keep their businesses afloat, let alone branching out and starting other businesses. So here at EMTA, but we do have a hit on the TOD project or the TOD retail site now. And we're working with our folks to sort of try to outfit that and do a build out.
And Jeremy, is your trolley service, and I'll go the free trolley service, will you have it from that parking garage ramp, or right now it's going from what, 12th to the Bayfront, or?
Right now it goes 14th and State down to the Bayfront, Blasco Library. Yeah, absolutely. Our not only would our trolleys service that parking ramp, but a good majority of our fixed routes too, depending on who we get in for this retail space. So we want to bring people into Erie, Pennsylvania, in the city, and then maybe wine and dine them, and then give us the ability to be their vehicle and spend more time in downtown Erie.
Jeremy, it might be just a shot, but Tops has just joined together with Choppers Price or something like that, which is more on the East Coast. They may be looking for more places. Hopefully they're not going to condense. Hopefully they will try to get bigger. And you're offering some pretty nice stuff there. Maybe we've contact them.
Our real estate broker, Altair Real Estate, has reached out to all the grocers. We actually have a meeting with Wegmans next week to discuss the option of maybe coming down. But the thing that we've had, Ed, is the issue we've had with grocers is they don't want to condense into an 18,000 square foot facility. They want to stay as big as they are now.
Or bigger.
If you even look at the Walmarts. I mean, they have their own construction companies that come in and they already have the same store setup. So if you tell Walmart to, hey, we want you to come over, or a Giant Eagle or a Tops or a Wegmans, hey, we want you to come over and condense yourself into 18,000 square feet. They might, we've sort of got their Yeah. Oh, that would be great. If we had a Trader Joe's, yeah. I don't know. I may trade in my my hat here and maybe go work over there. Maybe run the meat shop.
You're doing a great job, Jeremy. Great job.
Appreciate it. Well, we're trying to do a lot with the EMTA. We've come a long way, and it's not just us; it's all the employees here. Our unionized bus drivers, our maintenance facility, our administration here. It makes and you guys make us what we are today. Once again, we're reaching out to you. We're letting you know what's going on at EMTA. Where before we never did that. So we want to be a good partner. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to be a driving force in Erie. I mean, we employ in the city of Erie 250 jobs, and we think that we can grow that. I want my vision long term is become the third largest transit company in Pennsylvania instead of the fourth. So we can only do that with the help of if all the hands are on deck, though. So.
I have one more thought. You had mentioned that you spend about 65% of your time trying to get local match together. I was wondering, have you thought about maybe making a presentation to the MPO, since all the municipalities are on there and they're all together, instead of, having to go out and visit with each one of them, maybe just explaining to them what what your gap is, and what you would need from each municipality in order to function without having that deficit.
So Chris Gerhardt's on the line too, and he's in attendance, and I'll let Chris answer that. Chris is Chris has been a member of the MPO for the last couple of years. Ever since this whole Mill Creek thing, we that was our idea, Renee, was to just go to the MPO and sort of, give a presentation to everybody that's there. I mean, it made sense instead of going to, this township building, so on and so forth. The problem was we were just in the middle of the whole Mill Creek thing, And we did know that we had Mill Creek attendees there, or an attendee there. And what we didn't want to do is create an opportunity or an environment there where people were sort of disagreeing and agreeing, and then a shouting match or anything. We didn't want that. We thought, like, just for the time being, let's just continue to go on to these individual townships and talk with those folks. But we don't think that's out of the water. That's definitely something that we will entertain in the future. Chris, is there anything else that, I know there's presentations that we have given the MPO.
So yes, that is an approach, that has been an approach. That's an approach we can entertain for the future. The question earlier, I forget which council member brought it up. Have we reached out to municipalities? And the answer is yes, constantly. And municipalities, they prefer that leadership of those municipalities prefer more individualized conversations. They like to talk within their organic offices about their needs and what they can provide. A presentation to the MPO is not, that's fine. But again, it's been a very EMTA 101 with the municipalities.
Okay.
And I will say, Girard and Lake City have been ecstatic with EMTA service. The manufacturers have only asked those municipalities for additional EMTA service, as they've exhausted their own labor pools in those geographies. Girard did note they're proud, like, wow, we get more local match than Mill Creek, and we're seeing the benefit. But that's pretty sad when you have Girard giving a few $100s, or maybe even, what is it? I have it right in front of me. Girard gives 3,000 and Mill Creek gives 2,500.
Once again, with Mill Creek sitting on a $6 million surplus. But, you know, there's meetings that I've been in Mill Creek Township where I've spent 45 minutes out of the 2-hour meeting listening to how much money they're going to spend on a public golf course and the employees that they're going to hire as golf professionals. 6-hole course, yeah, 6-hole course in Mill Creek Township, and you know, a 6-figure without a blink of an eye handover of money. So, and here we are trying to put, you know, people's lives are in jeopardy if we were to discontinue fixed routes to Mill Creek. But obviously that didn't play a part at all. There was one mind thinking there, apparently.
I still think the secret is to make it as loud as we can make it nicely.
Well, I think, like I said, if we have, you know, Ed, we can always get together at any point in time. I'm always available. We could caucus, we could talk, and we can sort of quarterback what we want to do in the future as well, too.
Super.
I'm very open to that. So, you know, you just let me know, and I'll be there when and where.
Super.
I'll be honest with you, Jeremy. It seems like you're doing a pretty good quarterbacking job yourself. I mean, although we've had this tough 12 months or better here, you haven't stopped. You're still looking to see what we can move forward with the transit authority. I mean, get 17 new buses, with the natural gas, I mean, you haven't stopped, which just from tonight, very impressive to the extent that you're definitely doing your job.
Well, not only that, when somebody gives you a $72 million project, I'm sure Mr. Brennan can attest to this. When somebody gives you a $72 million to hands it off to you and says, hey, make sure this stays within the scope of work and budget and during a pandemic, yeah, it's definitely challenging. You know, the other thing we got too is, you know, we have 16 new paratransit buses that are going to be here within the next 3 months as well too. So that's a much needed, those are much needed vehicles that we need as well. So, you know, once again, it's all just opening your mouth and it's telling PennDOT, hey, look, you know, these are critical needs, not wants. You know, we just don't want things. We critically needed these things. And once again, just like the Sokol match, it was, I don't want to put anybody under the proverbial bus here, but we had administrations here that I don't know what they did, and I think we had we had boards, executive boards that maybe weren't too, they didn't know exactly what was going on inside the walls of EMTA. Nobody did. And that was only the fault of the administrations of the past. Moving forward, we want to be proactive and we want to be more transparent. I've said those key words over and over again tonight, and we want to continue to, how do we expand EMTA? We have a parking ramp now. We have a retail space on the bottom floor. I mean, we're more than just a transit company. I mean, we're an asset to the city of Erie, and we're trying to beautify mid-city downtown. So,
maybe down the line, we might be looking at a city council held meeting with bring all the townships in and let you talk to everybody together. It might be something to work on in the future. I mean,
maybe like an octagon or a wrestling ring, or
I don't think it's that bad, is it? But
no, we can, and we could do that. I'm trying to make light of the situation, but in any event, we can. I'm always open, and I invite all the council to just give me a call. Renee knows this, and the mayor knows this too. Give me a call. I'm more than happy to give you a tour of the facility before the ribbon cutting, whenever this COVID pandemic sort of weans itself away. I have a big boardroom here on site too. We can all get together and talk to each other with more than enough space for social distancing and that sort of thing. So
it's pretty evident that you're working really hard to make things the right way. Anything we can do as a council, I think.
Well, and I'll tell you what, just
our backing.
I really appreciate that, and I'm honored for you to hear that. I really am. My dad used to work for the city of Erie, and then ended his career at the City of Erie Water Authority. And I got to tell you, I don't want to say I take after him, but I do care about what I do, and I believe my administration does as well. When I was a kid, I never grew up and said, "Man, hey, when I grow up, I want to run a bus company." I don't think any kid growing up does that. But here I am. You know what I mean? So one of the things, and Frank, if he's on, he was on site today with Sergeant Lennox from EPD, and what we've done is we donated 2 lift buses to the Police Athletic League. And next Thursday at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a little bit of a press conference and an unveiling of these 2 buses that the PAL program had restriped and repurposed from the kids within the inner city of Erie. So stay tuned to that next Thursday. That's going to be a really tremendous event. But once again, it's what EMTA does for the city of Erie too. Normally we don't donate vehicles, but in this case, we've been a proud supporter of the PAL program for the last number of years. And it's a program that we're happy that was resurrected again. And we think we have the right people that, and the right minded law enforcement in Erie. I think we're really, we're fortunate to have the police force that we have. But once again, they're in the public service too, just like we are. And we want to be a partner of that. We want to have a piece of that too. So that'll be next Thursday at 11. And I invite everybody that wants to come, please come park on the 2nd floor of our parking ramp, take the elevator down, jump on one of our brand new buses, and we'll take you down to our lift facility where we'll have the presentation.
Very good.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
It's,
Great job.
thank you so much. Thank you, Jeremy and Chris, for taking your time to be with us today. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, colleagues. I think it was very informative. Thank you, everyone who was on today. And Freda has put a lot of information for us in the chat. If you've been paying attention to the chat conversation. And I just can't say enough good things about EMTA providing your services to all in our area. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate all of your efforts as well.
Thank you, Jeremy.